Good afternoon. On behalf of the Stockdale family, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming to be a part of this memorial service where we take time to celebrate the life of Sam Stockdale, to remember him, and to encourage each one of us as we continue to live our lives. Let's pray as we begin. God, you tell us you are the God of comfort. You are the God of great comfort. You have given us a hope in this life and a hope beyond this life. And it's at times like this that we have to cling to that hope. It's at times like this where we wonder why things happen that we just do not understand, things that do not make sense. But we know that you are a God that we can trust. I pray at this time that even during this service it will be a great time of remembrance, a great time of joy as we look back and think about the relationships and the memories that have been built. May it also be a time of comfort and encouragement to each one here as we see the hope that you and you alone can give. In your name I pray. What we have this afternoon is several of the family members and close friends will take opportunity just to share some memories that they have with Sam. We're going to start first with Sam's mother, Sue. So at this time, Sue's going to come up. You can either stand here, Sue, or you can use one of the microphones on the side, whatever you like.
Hoping I can get through here and give this talk without shedding too many tears. Because my backup, my plan B, was shedding tears out in the hallway. And plan C over there was shedding tears in the hallway. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm really in trouble now. So we'll get through this. But hopefully the Holy Spirit will be with us here today. And hopefully we'll get through this. So anyway, I'm just going to give you some highlights of Sam's childhood. Things I remember and the stories he loved to hear when he was an adult and laugh about it. Anyway, Sam was born on May 9th, 1970 in Nampa, Idaho, after 36 and a half hours of excruciating labor. He would not be born. So the doctors wheeled me into the delivery room and pumped me full of drugs and pulled him out, got him out of there. Then they wheeled me to my room and I was standing there talking to Sam's dad and his mom. I passed out. I don't know how long I slept after that. I must have been up for 52 hours because I went into labor at midnight. So, and he came out at 8 pounds and 13 ounces, so he was kind of tough to get out of there. He was big. So, 2 weeks after I had him, I took him in for his 10-day checkup, and he gained like 2 pounds. My gosh. So he was never a little guy. He was always a big guy. And Sam was always a smart little guy. He started sitting up when he was 5 months old. When we moved to Idaho City, I put him in his crib at the top level. And pretty soon he was standing, hanging over his crib, standing up at 5 months old. And he started crawling when he was 6 months old today. And then he started climbing up on furniture and walking around furniture. And at 7 months, he started standing alone. Pretty big. Okay, and then at 7.5 months old, he took his first step. And by the time he was 8 months old, he was running all over the place, like a crazy little demon. Anyway, he just started talking when he was about 10 months old. And when he was about 2.5 years old, he would ride his trike around the house in the basement of Ron's dad's house. We were living with him at the time. And he would go running in the furniture and crashing into things, and he started saying, "Oh, dumb fish." Everything was, "Oh, dumb fish." And usually moms have pretty good sense about what their kids are saying, but I could not figure out what dumb fish meant. Then one day his dad and I were driving down the road, some idiot comes in front of us and cuts us off, and Ron says, "Oh, that son of a biscuit," but that wasn't the word he used. And Sam's crops up and says, "Oh, dumb fish." Oh my gosh, we had to start clearing, start thinking about what we're saying in front of that kid. So anyway, we cleaned up our language, and I don't think I ever heard Sam say a curse word as an adult, at least not in front of his mom. He had done it other places, but not in front of me. Anyway, Sam, as he grew grew up and he got to be about a year and a half old, his first vehicle was a Heinz ketchup bottle. He would race, we lived in a trailer house, and you know the long hallways and single wide trailer houses. He would ride that ketchup bottle up and down the hallway, crashing into furniture. That we love crashing into things. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. He wore this red hat and he looked really ridiculous, but he had a good time. And when Sam progressed, he started riding trikes, and then he got a motorcycle at about 3 years old, or 3.5, something like this. His grandma Pat bought him this motorcycle, and you probably saw it on the pictures. He would ride around the yard and that thing, but he didn't crash into things, thank goodness. He got to be a pretty good little motorcycle rider, so he did a good job. Sam and I would spend lots of time together. He was my best friend. We spent a lot of time when his dad would go floating around in the lakes, fishing, and we would get stuck in the car because it was raining outside, and we would play cards. And I taught him how to play gin rummy, and then I taught him how to play rummy, and then we progressed to poker. And Sam liked to play poker, and he thought, well, I'll teach my grandma Pat how to play poker. So he was sitting there, and he'd say, well, the Q's are the ones, those are the queens, and the J's are the ones, there's the jacks. And he would explain all the suits to her and everything like that, and she just loved it. She had a great time playing poker with Sam, and everybody was impressed that a 4-year-old was playing poker. Except for, I don't know. Anyway, about 4 or 5 years old, Sam started having nosebleeds. And I took him to the doctor for his nosebleeds, and the doctor says, you know, there's something wrong with his eyes. And I said, what? What could be wrong with his eyes? You know, 4 or 5 years old. And the doctor says, well, I'm going to send you to a specialist here in Boise. So we went to the specialist, who then sent us to a specialist in Salt Lake. And we found out that Sam had an eye disorder called X-linked retinoschisis. And it's passed from mother to son, so I'm the bad person. I passed it on to Sam. I got it from my dad. We didn't know he had it until he was 60 years old. And I have 3 cousins with the disorder that I didn't know about, and the doctor assured me this condition was so rare it would never happen again. So I was confident that if I had any more kids, they'd be okay. And later I found out that his brother Rob had the same condition, and he was about 5 years old too, and then they sent me to a genetic specialist who says, oh yeah, it's rare, but it's not rare in families that have the gene. And I thought, oh great, somebody should have told me that. I wouldn't have not had kids anyway. I love my kids. So anyway, retinoschisis is where the retina splits apart. It looks kind of, the doctor explained to me, it's like cardboard. When it's wet, it starts to split apart and stuff. So he had one retina that was just kind of hanging. That was his left eye where it veers off because he had no muscle control because he didn't use it. He was kind of self-conscious of that when he was little. And when he got older, and the school nurse asked him, he would have hemorrhages in his good eye and he would go blind. So he had people like Rob Stallnaker to help him get to school because his mother would not let him stay out of school. He said, but Mom, I'm blind. And I said, you can still hear, can't you? And I'm like, yeah. You're not going to sit home and do nothing. You could listen to what they have to say and learn something, even if you can't do anything. So anyway, I was a mean mom. And we learned later that aspirin was causing the hemorrhages in his eye. So once we eliminated the aspirin, it eliminated the hemorrhaging in his eye. So he was okay with that for a while. And he used to work at Heritage Coffee when he was older, like in college days. And his eye would veer off to the left, and customers would come in and say, well, what's wrong with your eye? And he said, oh, they would say, oh, I don't know. Why? And he says, you really should go see a doctor about this. And I said, oh, why didn't I think of that? So anyway, he had a good self, he had a good sense of, he had a good humor. He was really cute, he didn't care. He had a good sense of humor, and he could joke about it. Anyway, Sam loved sports. He loved baseball, he loved basketball, and he started playing. He would play baseball all through grade school, and he went on and played baseball as an adult with his friends, and he continued that until he started having kids, and then they were a priority. He needed to stay home with his wife and kids. And he played basketball in high school, and he made the junior varsity, and I thought it was pretty good. What he did in sports, with not being able to see, being blind in one eye and couldn't see out of the other, he did remarkably well in sports. And the kids, he influenced the kids with their sports. And I remember they bragged about Keziah, who could name every player in the Detroit Tigers when she was about 9 years old. So they're all big baseball card collectors, and which progressed to a family business. The kids liked to collect baseball cards until they started that, and they couldn't stand to look at them after that, after sorting millions of baseball cards. And so anyway, Sam loved to fish. He was a good fisherman, and the dad was just telling me about all the times that he dropped his fishing pole in the bottom of the lake and he'd have to go down fishing for it. Maybe his dad didn't love fishing so much, but he taught. He was a good fisherman, and every time he went out fishing, he would always come back with a fish. Some good-sized salmon, and I kind of miss him fishing in Alaska because we don't get as much salmon anymore. Anyway, when Sam was in high school, he made really good grades, and I was very proud of him because he was such a good student. He made lots of, B's and C's and A's and things like that. He was a really good student, and I was telling him about how proud I was of him one day about all the good grades he got. He made the honor roll and things like. He says, "Mom, I wouldn't have made those grades if I didn't have nerdy friends that were all really good at school. I was very competitive, so okay." So Sam spent his college years. He went to Boise State and the University of Alaska Southeast. And while he was working at Heritage Coffee, and he later started work as Miller Construction. It was a family-owned business where they did construction, and he was kind of progressed to be the office manager there over the years. He went to school at the same time. Anyway, he lived in a trailer with his buddies, and I would give him rides to work and rides home from work. And so Sam was, he really wanted to get married, and he really wanted to start a family. He was ready to settle down. And then I was giving him a ride home one day, and he says, "Mom, I found my dream girl. I found the girl I'm going to marry." And I said, "What? You're not even dating anybody." And he says, "Well, I've known her a week." Well, that was enough for him, and I was like, well, okay. News to me. Anyway, Amy's friend Stephanie was the culprit that introduced them. Stephanie went to college with Sam and his roommates, and they invited Stephanie over to play pool, and then Stephanie invited Amy over to play pool. I'm sure that's all they did, but anyway, they went over to the frat house to play pool with the guys. And the story goes, and they got married. And they were married about 2 years before they started having kids, and I didn't think they were ever going to have kids. Amy said, "I don't want any kids." Okay. And they got pregnant, and they lost their first little baby, which was very sad. They were both pretty devastated, but they didn't waste any time in having another one. So Amy was pregnant with Sammy, who followed suit with his dad and didn't want to be born. So after hours and hours of excruciating labor, the doctor says, "We're going to have to do a C-section. This kid's too big for this little tiny gal." So they wheeled her into the delivery room, and Sam was finally born. And we were relieved it was finally over. And Sammy was, we called Sam once a week to talk about the kids and what they were doing in sports and how great they were, and they didn't understand why everybody else didn't see their greatness. We did. We saw their greatness. We love our grandkids. Sam's going to be missed, and with all the hardships he went through, he was uplifting. He smiled all the time. He tried not to let things get him down. He never, ever complained about being blind. He never complained about it at all. So the hardest thing for him to do was, when he had these hemorrhages in his eyes, was to tell me that he was blind again. And I'd say, "Oh, no, we got to take him to the doctor." So anyway, he had a wonderful sense of humor, and I'm going to miss Sam, and I love him so, so much. But he's left me with a wonderful daughter-in-law and 5 beautiful grandkids that I will always love
best friends growing up, and he's going to share about some.
That's a hard one because it's very sad. I'd like to say thank you to all of you for coming today to share this experience that we all have with Sam and family. Amy and her immediate family asked me to come here, so I feel very honored to share some of the experiences that I had with Sam growing up. I'm Rob Stallmaker, and I met Sam in Juneau, Alaska, back in when he was about 1981. And our first encounter was at an apartment complex that we were living in at the time, Madison's apartments, you know. And my brothers and I were outside playing with Star Wars action figures, you know. We were, of course, using toys like we normally did, hopping over snow hills that were all over the place. So while we're doing this, the Boba Fett talk came on, and we heard a, ow, what the? And so we went out of the way. So we went around the corner to kind of check in, and we made a hit with the action figures. And Sam kind of met us coming around the corner, and he's like, is this your Boba Fett? So that was like the first interaction I'd ever had with Sam as a friend growing up. And, you know, through that encounter, he was like, yeah, well, we started talking about Star Wars and this and that. And as it turned out, Boba Fett was his favorite villain character of the Star Wars, you know, saga that we've watched. So by the end of the day, and he asked, he's like, well, why are you doing this with your action figures? He's like, you can break them. And we're like, well, no, they're pretty hard, you know, like showing him what we're doing. We're having our little battles and stuff. And by the end of the day, he was right in the mix. And we were testing the boundaries of launching for our figures, of course, and see if we could get them to the furthest snow peaks. So, so that was like our first encounter. And as it turns out, Sam had then moved about maybe 8 months later, and we were still there. And my parents found another place, and we moved. And coincidentally enough, we moved 2 houses down from Sam. So it was, I think it was meant to be. So we spent a lot of time together growing up. A lot of our years in elementary school. And he's a very loyal guy. He's very loyal to everybody. You know, Sam was a very caring person. Was very engaging and was very willing to meet people and just, you know, share his knowledge and his experiences. We became the best of friends for a number of years. I would, of course, always be with him to help guide him when he was having an episode with his eyes and spend time with him, you know, in the new location where we were living right by one another. His loyalty was boundless. He was very supportive, and at times when we were growing up, he was a massive guy. Like, he was the big guy on the block, and you know, we had a lot of names for him as children growing up. But he would protect us sometimes if we ever got into trouble with other kids. He was ultimately embraced by my family as both a brother and a son to my parents, and a brother to me and my brothers. There's another instance that kind of showed his loyalty and sort of his cautious behavior on occasion. He was a very cautious guy. You know, he would always be warning me because I was like the polar opposite of Sam in that regard sometimes. I'd run with my hair on fire in whatever direction I could go. He was up, I went over to visit him, he was up shoveling the roof. And so I got up on the roof with him and joined him, and we were shoveling the roof off and looking around. It had been a big snowfall, so we were like, we might be able to jump off of here. This could be fun. And he went, I don't know, we might hurt ourselves. next hour or two, we were leaping off the roof, climbing back up, making new snow piles to jump into. And so it was a couple hours later, and I was like, oh, I gotta get home. I got dinner. I gotta get home before I get in trouble. I went to book it off and jumped, and I said, I'll see you later, Sam. And went home and ate dinner, came back a couple hours later, and nobody was home. I don't know, this is weird. So I went home, saw Sam the next day, kind of went over to the house and found out we broke our leg. Jumping off the roof right after I left. So I told him that I was eternally sorry. So Sam, I am so sorry still. But he was a very loyal person in that regard. He would do anything for anybody. I mean, he would offer himself to help. So when I went and visited him, of course, I went in and I said, what happened? He's like, I broke my leg jumping off the last one. He says, see, I told you. and so it was one of those things where he was the voice of reason for me on a lot of occasions. And I owe him a debt of gratitude for that throughout my life. Sam was a very kind and gentle soul who always shared in a very patient demeanor. It was very hard to rattle Sam. He would take whatever you threw at him with the absolute patience of a saint. And he would always, in turn or in kind, offer insights or something he thought that he would have learned about that might help you. So Sam was very sharing in that regard as well. Very insightful. He was very well read, given the opportunities that he was faced with his vision. And he cherished that. He cherished knowledge. He liked to know about things, and he liked to share that. As we continued to grow together, Sam was always right there. I was always impressed with Sam's physical skills. So while he was challenged visually, he was possibly one of the best basketball players I played with growing up. He really was a good athlete. He was fast, and I would just sit there, we'd play basketball, I'd look at him like, how are you making shots like that? I'm like, because on occasion he would have the cloudy vision and not be able to see, but he just was intuitive with his basketball skills, and it was always fun to play with him. So, and of course, it was always good to have him under the key. He was a big body and he got rebounds. So I was always impressed with that, and more so impressed with the fact that he never gave up. He was so passionate about playing and being a part of the team and doing those kinds of things that he liked to do. Again, he loved basketball, loved baseball. He would play every sport in the sun if he was able to. And the sports that he played, he excelled at. And it was always fun to play with him because he was always very uplifting and upbeat. I'd get mad on the court, and he'd be like, come on, let's go. Let's just get out of the court. We gotta make the next play. So I was always impressed with his physical abilities. He was an athlete in his own right, for certain. Ultimately, I moved out of high school years, I kind of transitioned. Sam and I had a number of times where we would separate and come together, kind of like when they moved from the apartment area there, we met up, and then, so I went to high school, came back, we reconnected in college, where we, reconnected as best friends, and then of course, included a number of other friends into the circle there, Stephanie, and Shaughnessy. And some other friends. And Sam had a lot of friends that are not here today from Juneau that send their best and miss Sam. But so we reconnected. We got the sort of friendship dynamic going again. I was hair on fire. He was my voice of reason. We hung out a lot, did a lot of things together. But the most significant adventure of Sam's life was shortly engaged after I finished school at University of Alaska, because I came back up to finish my bachelor's degree there with him. And that was when Amy was introduced. And, he basically was lost. He was sold. That was it. He was in love. And again, it was after about a week. So I was very impressed with his passion for Amy so quickly, but I know why now. And he loved her with everything that he was as a person. They enjoyed being the best man at their wedding, and that was a very fun experience. As his life flourished and continued to support the most important person of his life, we sort of drifted apart a little bit, and they moved to Michigan, and I had moved to Michigan about 4 years, I think, before you guys moved back here. So again, our paths sort of crossed, unknowingly and without any direction by either one of us. And so I wish I'd had a chance to come and spend more time. Obviously, we all did probably at this point, to see him more frequently since I'm in Michigan. Today, the legacy of his wonderful characteristics, his engagement, his loyalty, determination, his passion for life, and passion for people. The legacy lives on with his family, the kids. What they do today is a symbol of Sam, for his behaviors and his nurturing. And I'm very, very proud of him. I'm very blessed to have known Sam and be a part of his life. I know that Sam is still with us today and always will be. He'll be with those he loved, and I look forward to seeing Sam again in the near future. So thanks for having me over here today. It was a pleasure.
This time Jeff David is going to come up, who was Sam's nephew.
Sam was much more than an ordinary uncle to me. He played a tremendous role in my life, and he influenced my life more than he may have ever known. With the struggles and adversities of my childhood, there was always one constant, and that was my uncle. He was a straight shooter. He told things how they were. I knew I could always come to him and talk. He provided that comfort and an open door policy. There was times I needed advice for the bad coaches I had through my life. He was there. There were times where I needed advice for teammates. He was there. There was also times I sought his advice for family struggles, and he was there. More often than not, he always tried to get me to see things from a different perspective, or help me see things from someone else's shoes. And of course, there was those rare occasions when he told me I was ready. Sam taught me how to approach confrontation with an intellectual and open mindset. He was always a deep thinker, and I always waited for him to finish analyzing his thoughts because I knew he was trying to help me in the best way he knew how. I owe Sam a lot of credit for the person I am today. I don't remember Sam as a man with physical decline, but a man with a strong intellectual thought process, and a man who helped guide his nephew through his childhood.
This time Bob Miller, who was Sam's stepdad, is going to come and share with us.
Picture Sam right here. Well, Sam was a great dad. He loved and he lives for his children. and he did everything for them. I was not quite that good at that. Turn that off. I'll get going here in a minute. Anyway, I wasn't as good a dad as Sam. With my kids, I know that. He loved his kids. And, it's just, I love my kids too, not that I didn't love them. I just didn't spend the time with him that he spent with his. He was, we always talk about his kids and how they were doing. But I was born in Traverse City, Munson Hospital, and so I'm from the area. And I went to Glen Lake schools for my first junior high, and we moved down state. My folks took jobs down state. And, I went to, after I graduated high school, I went to college for a while, and then I was drafted in the Army. And so after I got out of the Army, I went up to Alaska. And I had 2 or 3 brothers up there then. The pipeline was going to start. And they said, come on up, make all kinds of money, then we can leave. The leave part never happened. And so, anyway, after my folks, actually, I met Sue in Juneau, and we got married, and then we started our own family. And anyway, my folks, after they retired, they came up back to Maple City to live on the farm. And my mom, she passed away about 1995. My dad passed away in 06. And then after my dad passed away, Sam and Amy came to Michigan and stayed in the farmhouse for a little while, a year, and then they bought their house in Frankfurt, and they moved to Frankfurt. And then everybody in Frankfurt knows them from them. So I would talk to Sam probably at least once a week, like Sue said. Every week we'd call, and especially, and I'd call. They had 2 phone numbers. I'd call one of them, they didn't answer that one. I'd call the other one, and eventually one of them would answer, either Amy or Sam. And I would ask Sam, I'd ask Amy, how things are going. You know, how are the kids doing? What are they doing? Oh, and she was like, I'll talk to Sam. Because she wouldn't know what the scores were. She wouldn't know if they hit home runs, if they made a basket. She'd know if they won or lost, maybe. But anyway, especially, I started coming back here the last 6 years or so, work on the farmhouse and get it ready. And anyway, we were talking about everything. Like, lately we were talking about Hillary and Bernie and Trump and all that kind of stuff. And it was, and Muslims. But Sam, like you said, he's a deep thinker, and he didn't really jump to those conclusions that we had jumped to as older people. He didn't watch Fox News every day. So, anyway, and we talked about his health too. He was scheduled for his surgery, so I didn't think anything was wrong. You know, that's obviously it's way out of whatever. So, anyway, when we first got married, you know, Sam was my stepson, and after we had a few kids of our own, and Sue told me one time, she said that she thought that I treated, when we first got married, she thought I treated Sam not right, and I didn't know what not right was. And she said, after you had your own kids, she realized I treated everybody the same. And they no favorites. So I remember that Sam, he was, I don't know how old he was, but he was always a big kid, and he wanted to bike with Rob Stallnecker. They wanted these BMX bikes so they could jump and do whatever kids do with BMX bikes. And I said, these too big for that bike. You know, the bikes aren't, today they probably beef them up and make them really nice and strong and sturdy. And I said, no, it's, you know, you shouldn't have that bike. It's too big. He's too big a kid for that bike. But my thought process and my persuasion didn't work out. He got the bike he wanted. And so later, not much later, I don't know how much later, but I come in and, I don't know, he was doing Rob. They're jumping across and putting plywood up and rocks and jumping over them and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, it's all right. So, I don't know, but the bike broke. He broke the frame. And so, somehow, he's got another frame. I don't know where he got it from. So he's going to transfer parts. He didn't come and get me. He didn't talk to me about it because I don't know if he was afraid that I was going to, you know, blow up or say something. So instead of coming to me, he just decided that I'll get some tools and I'll take it apart, and it can't be that hard, and put it back together. Just switch over bikes. And so it didn't work out. And when I saw it, like the frame was broken and all the bearings were taken out of the one bike. And anyway, he probably thought it better to fix it on his own and come talk to me. But I don't think we ever fixed that bike. I mean, the bearings were gone and never got fixed. But Sam, he played arts and rec basketball. And he was actually a pretty good player. He was big and he was tall. So they put him in the center, and he was, you know, he would score baskets. And I'd take him to his games, and I'd be watching. It was, you know, it was good. He was a good player. And one day, they said, we're going to have a referee. Well, you know, why don't you volunteer and be a referee? So I'm going to be a referee. And they go, well, we need a referee, otherwise we're not going to play a game. Okay, I'll ref. And so I didn't call any fouls. I'd blow the whistle if the ball went out of bounds, and I'd just give it to somebody. You know, I'm playing this game, and how it works is that if there's a foul called, then you get a basket. The team that's fouled gets a basket. They get a point. And if it's, but it gets down to the last 2 minutes, then and the clock runs all the time. In the last 2 minutes, they stop the clock. You have to take free throws. So you have to make the free throws so the team that's behind can get the rebound and go down and score. So I'm reffing this game, and Sam goes, anyways, the last 2 minutes, and they've been hacking the whole game, but I don't really know, you know, I'm not going to, and kids are looking at me like, aren't you going to call a foul? And I'm like, no, just play. And so he gets to the last 2 minutes, and Sam's team's behind. And he's hacking this guy, and he looks at me and goes, I'm trying to foul him. He said, blow the whistle. Okay, blow the whistle. So after that game, he said, I lost the game for him. He said, I was getting hacked the whole game, and you didn't call any fouls. He said, that's why we lost the game, because you didn't call any fouls. And I was like, well, you should learn to play better. But, you know, Sam played with us. You know, he played with his uncles on weekends, and he should have learned that. We didn't call fouls either. Anyway, so Sam's mother, he had a football team going, and Sam would, you know, he went to play football. His mother said he couldn't play football, and she won. I said, no, let him play football. What could have hurt? But it didn't work. So, anyway, he was always the big guy, you know, because he was always the biggest kid. So, and, you know, Rob was not, he was like a little kid, but he wasn't, you know, just normal. So, but Sam, he did play, like Sue said, he played in basketball on Juneau Douglas. And first he was on the C team as a freshman. And I remember him telling me about, they traveled to the villages to play. And so these are all native villages in Southeast, and they get on the ferry and go over. And he said those were tough times because those native kids didn't like the white guys. And he said that they had to travel together. He said they didn't go by themselves, they always had 4 or 5 guys go together. And he said that, he said, you don't understand. He said, you don't understand what it's like going out to the play. He said, the referees call no fouls on the other team, and they always call them fouls on them. He says, the visitors never get a break. He says, so you're lucky you make it out of town. But, and then when he was a sophomore, I thought he was still on the C team. Maybe he did make the JVs, but I remember he didn't appreciate. I thought he was still on the C team, but he didn't appreciate that because he had good talent. And I had back in I think about 76, 77, I worked on North Slope, and I worked with the brother of one of the coaches. And later, this guy was the head coach, but he was Sam's coach. And I had a brother-in-law, Scott Stewart, who was on the 82 state championship team for Gino Douglas. And he played, and he was 6'6", so he played. And so later, like after Sam got out of high school, I was on a ferry with this coach, and I knew his brother, and I knew him, but not really talked to him. But on the ferry, you have at least 6 hours between towns, so you have a long time to meet somebody and talk to him. So I talked to him about, first I was talking to him about Scott, because he knew that Scott had lived with us, with Sue and I, and Sue's brother, in his junior year when they won the state championship. And so we were talking about Scott had talent, and he said that Sam had talent, but he never thought that he would, because of his vision problem, he'd never have the, he said he wasn't varsity material. So, yeah, he thought that because, he would never make it. So he actually didn't get the chance to play. So, anyway, that was a long time ago. But, he was a good player, and he did have vision problems, but I think he still should have had the opportunity. So, anyways, Sam caught a hell of it one summer. It was 150 pounds. And we went out with, we had a boat, and a friend of ours had a boat, and they're both about the same size, and I don't know why we were going to go down together, and good thing we did too. We went down, and Toby was, my brother Toby was on the boat, and I think my brother Terry went with us, and Joe Conley had the other boat, a friend of ours, and Juno, and Sam. And we broke a fan belt down at Funker Bay, which is a couple hours away from Off Bay. And so Terry and Joe Conley, they decided to go back and get us a fan belt, but we weren't prepared. We normally should have that stuff on the boat, but we didn't. And so he, and that was enough voting for Terry because he didn't come back. So we anchored up and started fishing, and we just dropped the line. We were just, off the bottom, and we were pretty deep, and just see if we could catch something off the bottom. We were going to go salmon fishing where you got a troll, and we weren't doing that, so we just go see if we could get a hell of it. And so we were getting these red snappers, and they were coming up, and they were coming from such a depth that as soon as they come up, they just blow up their dead. So there's no catch and release, you just throw them in the boat. So they were, Sam and I and Toby were catching all these fish. We just drop the line and bring one up, just so amazing. So the deck's getting full. And I said, somebody's got to start cleaning fish. And neither one of those guys are going to do it. So and I said, well, I'll start. So I started cutting their heads off and gutting them. And I didn't know you were supposed to flay them then, but, so I didn't do that. I just cut them and threw them in a bucket and throw the stuff over the side. Pretty quick, Toby and Sam both get big fish on, right? And so Toby, he's always the boss. He's, get out of the way, I got the big fish, get out of my way. And so Sam, go up to the bow, get out of the way, Sam. Toby's got the big fish on. And so he wrestles it up there, and it was a big halibut. And so I he says, grab that gaff and hook it. And so he says, gaff it. And the gaff is like a small bat. It's got a hook in the end. A straight hook comes out of it, pointed, tipped up a little bit. So I go, well, that thing's pretty big. I don't know. Okay, I'll try it. Whack! Pull it in. Oh, that's pretty easy. Whack it over the head a couple times, it's dead. So, wow, that's pretty good. Didn't know that would work. So then, okay, Sam, let's see what you got. We're moving on over Toby's fish. It's a big one. But, okay, you still got your fish, Sam? Yeah, well, it's probably nothing. Let's go. Let's see what we get. So, Sam works it up to the surface. And I look at it. It was an ugly green, old green. And I was like, wow, that's huge. And Toby's fish is probably like 60, 70, 80 pounds. I don't know, somewhere in that range. And it's laying on the deck. And so he brings his fish up. And his is a bright, Toby's a bright green, this is a dull green. And it's huge, way bigger. And Toby goes, gaff it. Gaff it? Okay, it worked last time. Whack. Thing just takes off. But I still got the gaff. I'm still here. And anyway, I go, well, let's. And then Sam, you gotta work this fish because it takes a long time to get it back to the surface. Comes up again. And Toby's yelling at me, gaff it! It didn't work, all right. Whack, same action, same thing happens. It goes right back to the bottom and I get mad. Anyway, Toby, that's not gonna work. We can't get rid of that. Until we got a shark hook. And a shark hook is a hook about a foot long or so. It's a nice big hook, just like a regular hook, and it's huge. And it's got an eye, and we put her open the eye, and fish comes up next time, and it does come up with his mouth open. And then Sam finally gets it up there. Sam's getting tired. And Toby reaches his hand in the mouth of this halibut, sets the hook, and I'm like, he pulls his hand out, he still has it. And then he says, well, pull the fish in. Well, all right, we try to pull that thing up, and it's just flopping everywhere. We can't get it up. We can't do anything with it. And we're hitting it over the head, trying to, you can't do anything with it, just trying to hold on to it. So we said, well, we can't pull this thing out. So we hook it on one of the cleats. We try to get the head up so it can't flash around. And so it's going to pull the cleat off. So now we got to hook it on 2 cleats. And maybe 2 cleats will hold it. But anyway, every time it's, die down a little bit, I think, oh, maybe it's dead. Let's try to pull it in. Nope, it's not dead. So eventually, Toby goes back fishing. He just, there's nothing to do here. Wait for the boat to come down and get fixed. So he goes back fishing, and I don't know if Sam did or not, but Sam was pretty odd about that fish, and I was too. I'm like, how are we going to get this thing in? Anyway, Joe Conley, he's the guy in the boat. He comes back, minus Terry, and he got the belt, and then he's got a pistol. Because, oh, he'll shoot it. So he shot it a couple times, and he got it in there. I didn't think it was still dead, but I don't want to shoot it in the boat. So we got it in, and Toby, in the meantime, Toby has caught the bottom. But he thinks it's a fish. We'll never know if it's a fish or the bottom. Once we got the boat fixed, he said, let's go. And Toby's, no, I got a big fish. I got the biggest fish here. And I said, no, let's pull on it, see if it'll move. Come on, we can't be here all night. And anyway, Toby, he broke his line. So he was mad at us because he had the biggest fish. Then we got back and we cleaned that fish. It was a 150-pound fish. No. Anyway, I thought that was pretty good, and Sam thought that was pretty good. And there's pictures of him with that fish, and there's a picture of it. We did it at night. We cleaned it at night on Toby's place on a picnic table. We got it and started to clean it up and get all the fish off it and off the bones. And then also we had all these snappers that we had to clean up, and I don't know how long we were there. But I don't think we cleaned them all that night. But the next day they have a picture with Sam holding up the skeleton. But anyway, Sam, after he was in, we got into sports, he got into Dungeons and Dragons. and I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, and I still don't. But he would, they play that stuff. I have no idea how they could spend all their time, but I don't understand how they can spend all their time doing a lot of things that people do. But he loved Dungeons and Dragons. And then also, he got a job at Taco Bell. And when I got married, I bought these black wingtips and to get married in, and that's the last time I used them probably. But Susan, can you have those shoes to go work at Taco Bell? Yeah, I don't care. But so he's the only guy there with wingtips working at Taco Bell. So, but he had, he's got these plaques, I think there's like 2 of them at least for Employee of the Month that he got. And he had to walk like at least 2.5 miles from the house to Taco Bell and back. But he didn't complain, he did it. And I remember he had a bedroom by himself, and I went down in his bedroom, and I see all these CDs, like CDs like $10 a piece. We got like $500 here, and I'm like, why is he? I tell Sue, I said, that's, he didn't need all these CDs. And she said, it's his money. He can do what he wants. I guess he can. That's what he wants to do. But he didn't. I didn't. It was not a problem. I just was kind of surprised. And then he left high school. He went down to Boise State. But then he came back to junior school at I don't know if it's UASC or UAJ then, but politics. And especially, he didn't do it again. I guess it wasn't that good. And Sam, he worked for Miller Construction. That was with Terry and Toby and myself. And he worked in the office. And his eyes progressively got worse. And he could, and I remember one night he was having more and more problems with his eyes. And I took him home, and he was crying. I don't know why he's crying, but he was talking about it. Never being able to see his kids play sports. So, sports are pretty important to him. But he was down in Idaho. He was down in Idaho, and he told me this story about 2 boys, Sammy and Tiggy, who was always being named Tiggy by his grandma. Anyway, they're going to dunk the ball. And they put up this cardboard box to jump off. And Sam says that Tig convinced Sammy to do it first. So Sammy jumps on the box collapses. He doesn't get the dunk, but he does get a broken arm. And he says, can you imagine any kids doing that? No, I couldn't imagine. So, then he played, he was into fantasy games, and I remember he told me that, fantasy football and fantasy baseball, and he told me that Liam, his cousin Liam, wouldn't let him on the league anymore because he always won. He wouldn't let him in the league anymore, that's what he said, because he always won. Sam told me he picked Sammy's teams for him for his fantasy the last couple of years, the last 3 years, and they took Robinson Cano 2 years in a row. And he went to Seattle and it was terrible. Lost everything. This year he's doing good at Seattle and they don't have him. They didn't want him this year. But I enjoyed coming down here, and I get to go see the games and sat with Sam, and I come down here at least 3-4 months a year and see their football games and their baseball games. And it's summertime, it's every day they're going somewhere, whether it's a girl or a boy, they got a game somewhere to go to, and whether it's every day. And so it was pretty good, except for T-ball. T-ball luckily they didn't have much T-ball left. So really, football they're really good athletes. They're really good athletes. And Sam was really proud of them. Anyway, it was Sunday morning, 22nd of May. We were in bed, and I was awake. I think I was still awake, and it was like 5:30 in the morning in Juneau. And we got a call that Sam had died. And we just talked to him the night before. It was his mother's 65th birthday. And I talked to Amy earlier in the day, and then we went to a ballet recital for our other granddaughter, who was 5. And so we'd gotten home, and it had to be late. It had to be 7:30, 8 o'clock in Juneau, so I'd make it midnight down here, and he called. And talked to his mother and told her that she's 65 years old now, so she has to be very careful where she walks. She can break a hip at any time. And then she talked to Xander, and then Xander talked to me. And anyway, Xander was telling about his pole vault, and I was impressed. And I am impressed, because you know, that's pretty good the way he does it, and how high he can get in 8th grade. And so then I said, let me talk to your dad. And he said, my dad said he's feeling the burn right now and can't talk to me. So, but we talked, and you know, it was just so amazing that, you know, I'm going to miss those talks. I told, you know, I talked to him. We might talk for a half an hour, maybe only 10 minutes, but we'd talk at least once or twice a week. And, you know, just like, you know, I can't talk up to my boys and say, let's talk for an hour. I could talk to Sam. We could talk about anything. And I love it because Sue, she gets focused on one thing at a time. And she focused on the threat of the Muslims. It was so funny. He says, Mom, you don't even know any Muslims. And she says, I don't want to. And he goes and tells me, he said, well, you know, just, you know, tell her, you know, just to not chill out, but just be a little lighter on that. And I said, I'm not going to tell her anything. So, but anyway, when I came down here, Sue flew down the next day, and she got here really fast. She got here on Monday morning at like 10:30 in the morning, and we were going to drive down, and I ended up moving the ferry schedule ahead a little bit, and I drove down, and I got down here, and I was so impressed with Frankfurt that the day I got here, they had a car wash, you know, bake sale, and doing all this stuff for the family. It was just so amazing to see what Frankfurt did for this family in the area. Just, you know, Frankfurt as a community can be very proud. Just as our family, we just can't thank you enough for what you've done for Amy and the family. And my dad, he passed away when he was 97 years old. And my mom had passed away 10 years earlier. And they were married for over 60 years. And he said that he would always see Mom again. He would see her again. And his religion didn't teach him that, but his faith taught him that he would be with her again. And my religion teaches me that families can be together forever. And I have the faith that I'll see Sam again. And it's a real comfort to know that. You can just think about things like that you'll see him again. And whenever I start thinking about Sam, I really kind of tear up. But I know that I can talk to him again, and I won't have that phone in my hand. I can just talk to him. And when I get up there, I'll ask him what's going on, and he'll tell me what's going on, and I'll be ahead of everybody else. They won't know all this information he tells me about. So I know I can see Sam again, and I want everybody to think about that their families can be together. It doesn't just, you can just lose someone here, and that's it. You can always be together. And I say, thank you.
absolutely incredible throughout all of this. But we're here today to talk about Big Sam. And Sam was big in a lot of ways. I don't think the name Big Sam was anything new when Little Sammy came along, because Big Sam was almost 6 feet tall and had a huge presence. But then when Little Sammy came along, it became obviously a name of total practicality and most of the time total necessity. Big Sam made a big impression on a lot of people. When our youngest daughter, Katie, visited their house almost 4 years ago now for the first time, she came back and she said, "Mom, they're all really terrific. It was so much fun." And Sammy's dad is like a big, cozy teddy bear, and he's so nice. And Big Sam loved Katie. When he hardly knew her, he made sure she knew, and he made sure that I knew. And we didn't know them for very long, but he expressed himself easily and openly and made sure that she knew that she was important and that he cared about her no matter what. Big Sam played big. And if you've ever spent any considerable time in their house, you know that the conversations are big. And they're loud. And they're crazy. And they're lots of fun. And every one of these kids is a ton of fun to be around. Every one of them embodies what their dad was, what he stood for, what he believed in. He believed in playing big, leaving it all on the field, leaving it all on the court. He believed in living big and in loving big. And Big Sam never got a chance to say what he wanted to say to Frankfurt, or what he would have wanted to say to all these family members that he spent so many years with. A lot of them, including Grandpa Bob, he thought the world of you. You were tremendous in his life, and he said it to me more than once. But he made sure that he passed on all of these important traits in every one of these kids. And so if he had a chance to say to Frankfurt and to all of the family and to the close friends that have been around for years and years, I know in our short 4 years with them, that Sam would have said to all of you, just as he said, would say to Amy and Sammy and Tig and Keziah and Xander and Kinsey, he would tell every one of you to play big. Play by the rules, but play big. And he would say, live big. Live every day. And he would love big. And he would tell you all to do the same. And he'll be watching us. He'll be looking over us. And he'll know that we're going to do all the same things with him in our hearts. Okay.
just thinking about earlier when the stories that grandma told, and it makes me laugh. He told us how he laid in bed in one morning and he'd go, "Mom, I can't see." And she'd go, "You're going to school." "But Mom, I can't see." "Well, you can still hear. You're going to school." And he'd lay there and just go, "But Mom, I can't see." And that made me laugh a lot. As all of you know, my dad died in his sleep on the morning of May 22nd. And sometimes it doesn't feel real yet. Like, you think of something that you want to tell him, and then you realize that you can't tell him it because he's gone. Yeah. When I saw that home run that I hit, when I saw the ball go over the fence, the first thing that I thought was, I can't wait to tell Dad. Yeah. You never think that a certain bad thing can happen to you. Like, you always imagine it, but you never think it can happen to you until it happens to you. And then this is that situation right here. Sometimes I had dreams about him dying, and I don't know why, but I did. And then I'd wake up and I'd be all scared, and then I realized that it's not actually true. And then I wouldn't have to worry about that for a long time now. But he was only 46. I want to say some stories that I remember him telling me or him that I had with him. We were driving back to Michigan from Idaho, we were driving back from Michigan to Idaho, and we stopped at the store, and he went in to get some food and stuff for the trip, and he came out, and he handed those kids a pink bottle, like full of just pink liquid, and he goes, "Here you go, kids, here's something to share." It was some pop or something, and we looked at it, and it was cotton candy flavored snow cone syrup. So blind that he couldn't even see that. This is from a couple of days before he died, and we were talking about a surgery that he was getting. It would have been 3 days from now, right now. And here's how our conversation went. "I can't wait to go to Arizona, Dad." "Oh, so you're just going to leave me when I'm recovering from surgery?" "Well, I'm leaving 10 days after you get it, so you'll be fine." "Well, how about I just die in the surgery so that you can sue the hospital and become rich?" And then we talked for a little bit how that works, like how you can sue the hospital. But eventually I just told him that I'd rather have him than $1 million. And he said, "Oh yeah, well, you wouldn't be saying that when you're driving around in your Porsche." And I said, "Yes, Dad, I would. I can't drive, and I love you." And I wish I could say all the memories I have of him, but there really are too many that, I couldn't think of all of them, obviously. A couple of days ago, we were watching this home video with him in it. And him and Tiger sitting on the couch, and Ty's taking a video of him, and Ty turns the camera around, and my dad's petting Ty's head like a dog. And he's like, "Good boy, good boy." He's, "Dad, what are you doing?" Dad's like, "What's in your hair?" "Sap." He's like, "Why do you have sap in your hair? I'm going to shave your head." He's like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah." And then with this video camera we had, when it recognized your face, it would have a square around your face, and we thought that was the coolest thing ever. We would, "Oh, it's targeting your face, it's targeting your face." So Ty pointed the camera at my dad, and he's like, "Dad, it's targeting your face, don't move." And my dad goes, and he does all these weird facial expressions. And then right after that, he goes, "Xander, if you don't start acting normal, you're going to your room." Okay, and more. I was dancing to Beyonce in his office when he made comments on her music video while we were watching it. I remember that. His stories of Alaska, like the fishing story that Grandpa told, and in basketball, they always went to catch a can, and they had to sleep in the gym and they had to lock the gym, right, because all the people, this is what he said, all the people there were they didn't want to play them, so I don't know, they didn't like them, so they had to lock the doors. And he had his little phone, and whenever he'd get mad, he used the Google phone to voice call Sammy or Ty. For some reason, Sammy and Ty were out late doing something, they were supposed to come home, so he'd say, "Okay, Google, call Ty." They were mad, and then he'd Google, and I just remember him saying, "Okay, Google," and it was so funny, because he loved that voice audio thing, because he didn't have to see anything to type it in, he could always just say it. And him giving us tips on sports, saying like, "Well, why don't you just do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't thought of doing that before," because he just thought it was so easy. Just, why don't you just do this? Oh. He carried, it was for like a time period or a summer or something, he carried around this red level, like for like house remodeling and stuff, and he called it his red ruby staff of ninja power. And he carried it around with him, and he wouldn't hit us with it, but he'd be like, "Stay away, I have my red ruby staff of ninja power." It's just stupid. And he always used to sing me and Kinsey a song, and I'm not going to sing it, but it was like, you say something, and like the song goes with whatever you say, so he would say my name, he'd go, "Keziah, Zaya, Bobaya, Banana, Fana, Fofaya, me, Maya, Mamaya, Keziah." And he'd do it with Kinsey's name too, and he'd do it, him and Kinsey would go on and on for like a good 30 minutes, just look at, "Oh, there's a computer, Bobaya." Just do it over and over again. And I wish I could still get mad at him for snoring in the car. Whenever he'd be in the car, he'd always snore. Or when he'd squeeze my stomach and say, "Squishy." and then like again, he'd do it again, and I'd block him, and he'd make a joke about how fast my reflexes are. Something like that. But the thing that I think I will miss the most is not being able to go home, go into his office, pop down on the couch, complain, brag, or tell him about my day. Because that's just was part of my day, and it's not anymore. My heart aches that I won't ever be able to do that again with him sitting in his computer. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that always tell the people you love just how much you love them, because you don't know when the last time that you're going to tell them, you don't know when the last time it's going to be that you're going to see them or be able to tell them that you love them.
Like you said, I'm Sam. I think it's safe to assume that most of you know who I am. For those of you who don't, I'm Sam Jr., Sam's oldest, or Sammy. Growing up, calling me Sammy, that was like the only way you could distinguish between me and my dad in conversation. That was just my name. By default, my dad, he got the name Sam. That just became my identity amongst family members. As I grew older, it was a name that I don't really like that much anymore. I saw it as childish, something I wanted to get past in my life. After my father's passing, I see now that it represents so much more than that. It's my dad continuing to live through me and the rest of my family. And now I see that it's not something I'll ever outgrow. Now, many of you in this room may never have known that quirk about my dad and I's relationship. Chances are, those of you who don't probably knew me or my siblings well more than you knew my dad. Even though you didn't know him, you're still here, sitting here right now, in this room all together. And it's the little things like that, that just everyone being here, that he affected everyone in this room he has affected a lot. Little, whether you actually had a conversation with him or not. And it's through everybody in this room that my dad lives on. We are his legacy that he has left for the world, and because of that, he'll never be forgotten.